in the shadowed corners of Olympus, where divine whispers weave the fabric of myth, a secret lurks, a secret threatening the very throne of the gods, a forbidden child, a stolen throne. Hera's worst nightmare walks the earth, and his name is Chaos. Can the queen of Olympus betray her husband to save her home? Or will the gods fall by their own blood? Amidst the eternal stars and the whispers of the cosmos, the gods watched, unaware of the storm gathering beneath their feet. Olympus stood proud and unyielding, a symbol of divine authority. Yet within its grandeur lay unseen cracks that threatened to unravel their existence. In the hushed corridors of time, where myths are born and legends sculpted, Hestia's secret was a ripple on the verge of becoming a tidal wave. She, the keeper of the hearth, the eternal flame warming both mortals and gods, hid a flicker of rebellion, a defiance kindled by a longing for something forbidden, a child born of love and secrecy. Hestia, known for her warmth and unwavering devotion to family, harbored a clandestine truth that could bring the heavens to their knees. She had taken an oath to preserve peace and unity among the gods, yet beneath her gentle demeanor, a storm brewed, born of forbidden love and divine defiance. Hestia had borne a child, defying the laws of Olympus. Zeus, the mighty king of gods, decreed that no god, save him, should create life without his blessing. His wrath was legendary, and Hestia knew the consequences of her actions. In a mortal village, hidden from Olympus's prying eyes, she gave birth in secret, her heart pounding with fear and hope. Her son, nameless and unaware of his divine heritage, lived among mortals, growing strong and wild, untamed by Olympus's constraints. The mortal village, nestled in lush valleys, became a sanctuary for Hestia and her son, a place where the divine and mundane intertwined seamlessly. Within its bounds, the boy learned the ways of men, his laughter a melody echoing through the hills, binding him to the life he cherished. Yet, beneath the veneer of normalcy, the silent pulse of his divine blood beat ever louder, a constant reminder of his true origin. In those early years, the boy, nameless and free, roamed the forests and fields, his heart in tune with the rhythm of the earth. He was a child of two worlds, yet bound to neither, his spirit as untamed as the winds that swept through the valleys. The mortals, unaware of the divine essence coursing through his veins, saw only a boy of extraordinary vigor, whose laughter brought life to even the dreariest of days. As the seasons changed, so did the boy, his spirit as wild as the tempest that often swept through the mountains. Drawn to the elements, he found solace in the embrace of winds and the dance of flames. The villagers spoke in hushed tones of his uncanny affinity with nature, a gift both wondrous and unsettling. They watched him with a mixture of awe and trepidation, sensing a force within him beyond their understanding. As the years passed, he grew into a spirited youth, his laughter echoing through the village, a beacon of warmth. Yet destiny had woven a different path for him, one that would soon reveal the spark of power within. It began on a stormy night when raiders descended upon the village, their torches casting an ominous glow. In a desperate bid to protect his friends, the boy, with eyes wild and fierce, summoned fire from the air, flames dancing at his fingertips. That night, as flames leapt from his hands, he felt a strange exhilaration mixed with fear. The villagers, frozen in shock, whispered of magic and miracles, tales of gods walking among them. In the flickering light, Hestia watched from the shadows, her heart heavy with inevitability. The spark of his powers undeniable, a herald of the storm to come. This unexpected burst of power left the villagers in awe and fear, a power hinting at something greater, something divine. It was a power Hestia had long feared would surface, a power that could draw the attention of Olympus. Torn between her love for her child and her duty to her kin, Hestia faced an agonizing choice: protect her son or warn Zeus of the looming threat. The weight of her decision pressed heavily on her, each day a reminder of the fragile balance she maintained. She cherished every moment with her son, aware that their time together was borrowed. The shadow of Olympus loomed larger, a silent sentinel of inevitable reckoning. Her heart, bound by love and duty, whispered of sacrifices to come and the hope that somehow they would endure. In the solitude of her sanctuary, Hestia wrestled with her thoughts, the threads of fate weaving a tapestry of conflict and love. She knew the time for concealment was slipping away, and soon, the truth would blaze as brightly as the fires of Olympus. Her heart ached with the knowledge that each decision could alter the course of destiny, not just for her son, but for the divine realm itself. Meanwhile, atop Olympus, Zeus surveyed the heavens, dismissive of the minor celestial disturbances, early cracks in the sky that whispered of change. His arrogance blinded him to the growing storm below, a storm that bore his own blood. In his hubris, the king of gods remained oblivious to the secret nestled near his throne, a secret poised to challenge the very foundation of his reign. The night was restless, the air trembling with anticipation. In his dreams, the boy stood before a grand temple, its marble columns reaching toward the heavens. The whispers of the oracle at Delphi echoed in his mind, cryptic and alluring, drawing him toward a truth he could not yet grasp. Here, in the sacred heart of the world, his destiny awaited revelation. As he moved through the dense forest, his mind swirled with emotion. The revelation of his divine parentage left him reeling, questioning everything he believed about his existence. He recalled the stories whispered by village elders, tales of gods and heroes, never imagining he was part of such a lineage. The weight of destiny pressed upon him, yet within that burden lay a flicker of exhilaration, a chance to transcend his mortal bounds. At dawn, he gathered his belongings, a humble collection of items that had accompanied him through his ordinary life. The revelation weighed heavily on his shoulders, but a newfound determination guided his steps. Each mile toward Delphi was a step away from the life he once knew, a life of simplicity and ignorance. Now, the world demanded more from him, a reckoning with his true identity. Each step toward Delphi became a journey into the unknown, a pilgrimage not just of distance but of self-discovery. The road was fraught with visions, glimpses of power beckoning from the shadows. He felt something ancient and potent stirring within him, an energy responding to his growing awareness. With each passing day, he shed the skin of his former life, embracing the divine promise coursing through his veins. Awakening with a start, he knew he had to journey to Delphi, to seek the wisdom hidden within its ancient walls. The path was treacherous, but the oracle's call was irresistible. Upon arrival, the air vibrated with an energy resonating with his very being. The oracle, shrouded in mist and mystery, revealed his lineage, a son of the gods, born of Hestia and Zeus, a revelation that shook him to his core. In the presence of the oracle, the weight of his ancestry settled upon him like a mantle of inevitability. Her words bridged a world both alien and familiar, a world where he belonged, yet one denied to him. The oracle's voice was a melody of truth and mystery, weaving a tapestry of his past and future. It was a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, a beacon guiding him through the storm of his emotions. Standing before the oracle, time seemed to stand still. The air thickened with the divine presence, and as her words washed over him, his mind raced. Flashes of his childhood returned, moments when he felt different, when flames seemed to dance more eagerly at his presence. It all made sense now, with the pieces of his life falling into place like an intricate mosaic. The revelation of his divine origin was as much a burden as it was a gift. Memories of his mortal upbringing clashed with visions of grandeur that now filled his mind. He grappled with the duality of his existence, torn between the simplicity of his past and the complexity of his newfound identity. Yet, amid the turmoil, a resolve began to form, a determination to rise above the circumstances of his birth and seize the destiny that awaited him. Rage and confusion swirled within him. The father he never knew, the king of Olympus, had abandoned him to a mortal life devoid of the power and respect he should have rightfully claimed. Zeus abandoned me. The sky should be mine, he mused, his voice a low growl of defiance. The fires of ambition ignited in his soul, a hunger for power that could not be quenched. The anger simmered within him, fueled by years of neglect and the harsh reality of his existence. Raised among mortals, he had endured hardships that no child of Zeus should have faced. The injustice of it all gnawed at him, a bitter reminder of a father who had turned a blind eye. Yet, within that fury lay a spark of hope, that he could claim his rightful place among the gods and forge his destiny anew. Amidst his training, he encountered remnants of the divine world that had been hidden from him for so long. Creatures of myth and legend crossed his path, each encounter a reminder of the realm he was destined to inhabit. These meetings fueled his resolve, strengthening his conviction that he was not alone in his struggle. The world was vast and filled with wonders, and he was determined to claim his place within it, to stand among the gods as an equal. Determined to embrace his legacy, he retreated into the shadows, honing his newfound abilities. He practiced storm manipulation, the skies bending to his will, lightning crackling in his palms. In isolation, he forged a weapon from the very essence of lightning, a symbol of his divine birthright. His power grew, a tempest waiting to be unleashed upon the world. In the quiet moments, when the storm of his emotions subsided, he contemplated the path before him. His heart ached with longing for acceptance, for acknowledgement from the Father who had abandoned him. Yet, he knew that his journey was his own, and the strength he sought could only be forged through trials and perseverance. The road to Olympus was fraught with danger, but it was a path he would walk with purpose and resolve. In the solitude of the wilderness, his powers flourished. The skies became his canvas, painted with storms as the winds howled in harmony with his rage. Each bolt of lightning testified to his growing strength and his vow to earn recognition from the heavens. In solitude, both a sanctuary and a crucible, he was forged into a force that could no longer be ignored. The skies witnessed his isolation, a silent testament to the power simmering within him. He mastered the elements, his command of storms mirroring the chaos inside. The winds whispered secrets, and lightning danced at his fingertips, a symphony of might and fury. In those moments, he felt his divine heritage, a connection to a realm that had once seemed distant. Far above, on the ethereal plains of Olympus, Hera watched with growing suspicion. She sensed the unease in Zeus, a disturbance rippling through the divine realm. Her curiosity piqued. She turned her gaze towards the mortal world, sensing a rival, a force that could challenge the order she had worked so hard to maintain. The Queen of the Gods knew this disturbance was more than a mere anomaly. It was a threat that could unravel the fabric of Olympus itself. The sun hung low in the sky, casting an ominous glow over the plains of Thessaly. Anticipation electrified the air as the young demigod stood defiantly, his gaze fixed on the distant silhouette of Mount Olympus. Here, he would make his stand, challenging the king of the gods for the throne he believed was rightfully his. As his anger swirled, the winds responded, and a storm darkened the horizon. Below, the villagers of Thessaly gathered in hushed groups, their eyes wide with fear and awe. They had never witnessed such power wielded by one among them. The young demigod had always been enigmatic, but today he seemed to transcend their very reality. Mothers clutched their children tighter, as the storm's first rumblings reverberated through the ground. As the tempest gathered strength, the young demigod's heartbeat matched the rhythm of the thunder. The villagers had long whispered of his uncanny abilities, yet none had dared imagine the full scope of his power. It was as though the elements themselves were his allies, responding to his unspoken commands. The air crackled with energy, the kind that set hairs on end and filled lungs with the scent of impending rain. In a moment suspended in time, possibilities stretched out before him like the horizon. With a roar that echoed through the heavens, he hurled a tempest towards Olympus, a violent declaration of war against Zeus. The sky split with the intensity of his fury, lightning dancing across the clouds as rain poured down in torrents. The earth trembled under the weight of his power, a force that could no longer be contained. In the heart of the storm, the young god felt a surge of exhilaration and fear. He was acutely aware of the eyes upon him, both mortal and divine, as he stood on the precipice of destiny. For years, he had been a shadow in the world of men, a being of untapped potential and unspoken question. Now, with each bolt of lightning, he carved his place in the annals of the gods, a force that could no longer be ignored. In the distance, the gods of Olympus watched the unfolding drama with a mixture of curiosity and dread. Apollo, perched upon a sunbeam, peered intently at the young challenger, while Artemis, hidden in the shadows of the forest, whispered to the winds, seeking to understand the motives of this unexpected rival. Their conversations wove a tapestry of speculation, threaded with Olympus's ancient fears and ambitions. The gods, seated on their celestial thrones, exchanged glances filled with both admiration and concern. Hermes, ever the messenger, flitted between them, his wings a blur against the stormy backdrop. He whispered words of caution, reminding his fellow deities that this was no ordinary rebellion. The young demigod's challenge heralded a shift, an upheaval to the established order that could not be easily suppressed. From the peak of Olympus, Zeus emerged, his fury palpable and majestic. The king of the gods looked down upon the challenger with disdain. "You dare claim what is mine?" Zeus thundered, his voice echoing like a storm across the land. The clash of titans commenced, shaking the very foundations of the world. Beneath Zeus's confident facade, a flicker of doubt threatened to surface. This was no ordinary rebellion. He sensed the divine blood coursing through the boy's veins, a legacy of Olympus intertwined with the raw power of the earth below, a formidable combination that could rival his dominion if unchecked. Despite his bravado, Zeus felt the weight of history upon him. He recalled prophecies of an heir born from fire and earth, a child who could wield the elements effortlessly. Yet, his pride refused to acknowledge the possibility that this could be the foretold child. The thought gnawed at his consciousness, a persistent whisper unraveling his composure. As their powers collided, a cacophony of divine energy erupted. The sky fractured under their might, wildfires igniting across the landscape while floods swept through the valleys below. Mortals, caught in the crossfire of this celestial duel, fled in terror as chaos reigned. The other gods watched in awe and trepidation as the battle raged on. Poseidon raised the seas in a futile attempt to quell the fires, his efforts dwarfed by the conflict's magnitude. Athena, from her perch in the clouds, pondered the implications of this uprising, a challenge not just to Zeus's rule, but to the very essence of their divine hierarchy. Meanwhile, Hera embarked on her own investigation, her instincts guiding her toward the truth. She followed whispers of a divine birth to a humble village, where she discovered Hestia, her sister, and the child shielded from Olympus's wrath. The revelation threatened to upend the delicate balance of the gods. Hera pieced together this hidden history, each revelation a step deeper into the labyrinth of deceit and ambition surrounding her. The implications were staggering, not just for her marriage, but for the future of Olympus itself. She found herself torn between her duty to uphold her husband's reign and the realization that change was inevitable. The echoes of Hestia's secret resonated with a truth that could not be denied. Hera's heart was a tumult of emotions as she confronted Hestia. "Sister," Hera began, her voice a blend of accusation and sorrow. "How did it come to this?" Hestia's eyes held a quiet defiance, the warmth of her hearth contrasting with the storm outside. "He is not a weapon," Hestia whispered steadily. "He is a child of Olympus, as deserving of its legacy as any of us." Her voice carried a conviction that belied her gentle demeanor. "For too long, the fires of Olympus have burned without purpose," she continued, meeting Hera's gaze with unwavering resolve. "He is a reminder that the gods must evolve, or risk crumbling beneath the weight of their own hubris." Her words lingered in the air, a challenge and a plea intertwined. In that moment, Hera grasped the gravity of the situation. The son of Zeus and Hestia was not merely a threat to the throne. He was a catalyst for change, a force that could reshape the very order of the heavens. As the storm raged on, she realized that the choices she made would determine the fate of Olympus itself. Deep within the halls of Olympus, tension simmered as Hestia approached Hera with a heavy heart. Known for her warmth and compassion, the goddess of the hearth was now a mother torn between her love for her son and the fear of divine retribution. In the shadows of a marble corridor, she pleaded with Hera, her voice quivering. "He is innocent, Hera. Blame me for the secrets I've kept, but spare him your wrath." Hera watched Hestia with an intensity that spoke volumes of her inner turmoil. The weight of Hestia's words hung between them like a tangible force, threatening to fracture the fragile peace of Olympus. The corridors, once filled with laughter and the clinking of goblets, now lay eerily silent, awaiting the outcome of their confrontation. The air was tense, charged with a storm that threatened to break. Hestia's heart ached not only with fear, but with a longing to protect the child she had nurtured in secrecy. Memories of his early years flooded her mind. The innocent laughter, the moments of wonder as he discovered the world around him. To her, he was not a threat, but her son, the embodiment of a love she had kept hidden from the world. Hera's eyes, usually filled with regal authority, flickered with a mixture of bitterness and sorrow. The revelation of Hestia's child cut deep, touching a wound that had long festered within her heart. "You stole what I could never have. A child," she replied, her words laced with an emotion foreign to the Queen of Olympus. The betrayal felt personal, yet she understood the complexity of the situation, torn between her duty and a chance for empathy. Despite the bitterness clouding Hera's heart, there lingered a flicker of understanding. She recalled her own desires and sacrifices, the dreams set aside for the mantle of power she wore. It was a struggle she knew all too well, yet she remained bound by the chains of her own choices. The realization that they shared a common pain, albeit from different circumstances, was an unexpected bridge between the two goddesses. Hera, too, was caught in a tempest of emotions. The child represented not only Hestia's secret, but also the painful reminder of what had always been beyond her reach. She had watched over Olympus with unwavering strength, but the absence of her own child left a void she rarely allowed herself to acknowledge. The bitterness in her voice was not just for Hestia's betrayal, but for the dreams she had long buried beneath her queenly duties. Meanwhile, Zeus stood unmoved by the turmoil unfolding around him. His pride, as vast as the sky itself, blinded him to the truth of his son's existence. In his arrogance, he refused to acknowledge the boy's claim, seeing him only as a mistake to be erased. "I will not be challenged by a half-blood," he thundered, his decision echoing through the halls with finality. To Zeus, his son was an anomaly, a threat to his reign to be extinguished. The other gods, sensing Zeus's rising ire, whispered among themselves, their murmurs tinged with both fear and curiosity. The court of Olympus was no stranger to conflict, but this was unlike any challenge they had faced before. It was a battle not just of power, but of legacy and the very identity of the divine order. Each deity knew they would be forced to choose a side, whether out of loyalty, fear, or foresight. As Zeus's voice boomed through the halls, a shiver ran through the gathered gods. The sky itself seemed to tremble at his command, yet beneath his confident exterior lay a flicker of uncertainty. He dismissed the boy's existence as a trivial threat, yet whispers of a prophecy lingered in his mind, a prophecy foretelling the rise of an heir who could challenge his reign. The arrogance that had long been his armor now became a fragile veneer, concealing the doubts threatening to surface. Hera found herself at a crossroads, an internal battle raging within. Her loyalty to Zeus, the king she had stood beside for eons, was steadfast. Yet, the prospect of Olympus falling to ruin due to arrogance and denial weighed heavily on her conscience. In the solitude of her chambers, she wrestled with a decision that could alter the course of history. As night fell, Hera wandered the gardens of Olympus, seeking solace among the fragrant blooms and gentle breezes. The stars above twinkled with ancient wisdom, silent witnesses to the unfolding drama. Here, beneath the vast canopy of the night sky, she allowed herself the vulnerability of doubt. Could she truly defy Zeus, the king she had stood beside for centuries? The weight of her decision pressed heavily, yet she sensed a shift within her, a readiness to embrace change. In the quiet solitude of her chambers, Hera gazed out over the sprawling lands of the mortal realm. She recalled times she had intervened, subtly guiding its course and ensuring balance. But this was different. The fragile harmony of Olympus teetered on the brink, and the power struggle threatened to unravel the very fabric of their existence. Her mind raced with the implications of her potential defiance, weighing the cost of action against the peril of inaction. As she pondered her next move, the sounds of conflict from the mortal realm echoed in her mind. The gods were not above destruction, but Hera knew that unchecked power could lead to their downfall. The choice was clear, though its implications were daunting: save Olympus, even if it meant defying her husband. Or watch as the heavens crumbled from within. The winds carried whispers of the mortal realm's turmoil, tales of storms and fires that mirrored the unrest in Olympus. Hera knew that if left unchecked, the conflict would spill over, consuming both gods and mortals alike. Hera perceived the looming disaster, yet she also glimpsed a chance for rebirth, a moment to redefine divinity itself. The choice before her was not just about allegiance but legacy. The distant rumble of a storm served as a stark reminder of the imminent clash between father and son. The boy's awakening had become a catalyst, threatening to spark a war among the gods. Yet, within this turmoil, Hera envisioned the potential for transformation, an opportunity to reshape Olympus's destiny. Her heart ached for Hestia and the child ensnared in a conflict he never chose. The weight of her decision pressed heavily upon her, but she resolved to let wisdom, not wrath, guide her actions. In that moment of uncertainty, Hera made her choice. With renewed determination, she prepared to defend both her family and the realm she had vowed to protect. The path ahead was perilous, but the stakes were too critical to ignore. As queen, Hera would stand as a beacon in the storm, poised between ruin and redemption. The air crackled with tension as storm clouds gathered over Mount Olympus, casting a dark shadow across the divine realm. The sun, now aware of his true heritage and emboldened by the power surging within him, stood at the brink of destiny. The final confrontation was inevitable, a clash between father and son that would shake the foundations of the world. As he stood there, memories of his childhood among mortals flooded his mind. He recalled the warmth of the hearth and the laughter of friends, unaware of his true nature. It was a life of simplicity, yet always tinged with a sense of longing, a yearning for something he couldn't quite grasp until now. Knowledge of his divine lineage filled that void with purpose, but it also brought the weight of a destiny he neither sought nor wanted. With a defiant gaze, the sun unleashed a storm upon the heart of Olympus, his fury manifesting in bolts of lightning and torrents of rain. Zeus, the king of gods, met this challenge head-on, summoning his own power in a dazzling display of celestial might. "You dare claim what is mine," he roared, his voice a thunderclap echoing across the heavens. The clash of their powers lit up the sky, each thunderous impact resonating through the hearts of those who watched. Mortals and gods alike felt the tremors of their struggle, a battle not just for dominance, but for recognition and belonging. With every strike, the sun sought acknowledgement from the father, who had never known him. In the heavens above, the other gods watched with bated breath, their loyalties divided. Some whispered among themselves, questioning Zeus's decisions and the fairness of his rule. Others sympathized with the sun's plight, recognizing in him the same spark of rebellion that had once driven them to overthrow the Titans. The celestial court was a tapestry of conflicting emotions, each deity grappling with their own alliances and fears. The ensuing battle was a spectacle of divine energy, a dance of lightning and fire that illuminated the sky. As father and son clashed, the very fabric of the heavens began to tear, creating fractures that spilled chaos onto the earth below. Wildfires erupted in forests, and floods swept through valleys, testament to the collateral damage of their celestial war. Rivers changed course, and mountains trembled as the celestial forces collided. The earth itself seemed to groan under the weight of their conflict, its natural order disrupted by the wrath of the divine. Yet amidst the devastation, there was a strange beauty, a testament to the raw power that shaped the cosmos. Amid the chaos, Earth's landscapes bore the scars of their divine struggle. As mortals looked to the heavens in terror and awe, their myths and stories coming alive before their very eyes. Villages gathered around fires, speaking in hushed tones of gods and heroes, unaware that the battle above concerned them as much as the divine. Amidst this turmoil, Hera watched with a heavy heart. Her investigation had unveiled Hestia's secret, and now the truth of her husband's infidelity was stark and undeniable. Yet, as the realm trembled around her, she realized judgment must wait. Her priority was to prevent further destruction. Hera's thoughts were a whirlwind of betrayal, anger, and deep-seated sorrow, but above all, a fierce determination to protect what remained of their world. Her heart ached for Hestia, her sister who had defied Olympus out of love. In that moment, Hera understood that the bonds of family, however strained, could not be ignored. With steely resolve, she intervened, her presence commanding as she stepped between the combatants.
Enough,
she cried, her voice cutting through the chaos like a beacon of reason. Must we all fall because of pride and vengeance? The son's heart wavered as he gazed at Hera, seeing in her a wisdom that transcended the cold logic of power. His mother's choice to shield him from this world of gods now seemed both a blessing and a curse. He wondered if peace could ever be reached amidst such turmoil, where love and hate were as intertwined as the fates themselves. In that moment of hesitation, he glimpsed a future, not marred by ceaseless conflict, but one where understanding might bridge the chasm between God and mortal, parent and child. The realization flickered briefly, a spark of hope amidst his inner storm. The son paused, his anger momentarily tempered by Hera's plea. He saw the tears glistening in her eyes, a reminder of the cost of their conflict. The skies above continued to rumble, but for a brief moment, there was silence, a fragile peace hanging in the balance. This pause was fleeting, yet it was enough for the other gods to rally around a cause greater than their own ambitions. Athena, with her gift of wisdom, stepped forward to lend her voice to reason. We must choose our battles wisely, she urged, her words carrying the weight of ancient knowledge. For the cost of this war may be more than we can bear. Zeus, his power momentarily diminished by Hera's intervention, stood seething, yet he could not ignore the truth in her words. The realm they ruled was on the brink of collapse, and even his formidable strength could not repair the damage alone. The gods stood on a precipice, their unity fractured by secrets and lies. Yet in Hera's intervention, there was a glimmer of possibility, a chance to mend what had been broken, to forge a new path forward. Zeus stood amid the aftermath, grappling with the frayed threads of his once unchallenged dominion. Doubt, a foreign tremor, coursed through him as he acknowledged the formidable force his unrecognized son had become, threatening the power he had long commanded. Yet in Hera's intervention, he glimpsed a chance to retreat from the precipice of ruin and reconsider the future, not just for himself, but for all of Olympus. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, the gods of Olympus faced a pivotal choice: to continue down the path of destruction or to seek healing for the fractures they had caused. In that moment, the fate of the heavens teetered on a precarious thread, held by those daring enough to challenge the gods themselves. The aftermath of the clash left Zeus wounded in both body and pride. The great king of Olympus retreated to his realm, his steps heavy with the weight of his failure to foresee the threat posed by his own blood. His once unshakable authority now seemed fragile, like a kingdom built on clouds ready to dissolve at any moment. Zeus's retreat marked a pivotal moment for Olympus. The gods, once united under his command, began to question their allegiance. Whispers filled the halls of the mighty palace, echoing doubts and fears that had long been suppressed. Even the lesser deities dared to ponder whether the age of Zeus's dominion was drawing to a close, a thought that sent shivers through the celestial realm. As Olympus sought to recover from the upheaval, Hera found herself in a new role, one she had never anticipated. No longer just the queen by Zeus's side, she became the reluctant peacekeeper, a bridge between past grievances and an uncertain future. Her resolve to maintain the balance among the gods was tested, yet her determination to preserve the sanctity of their world remained unwavering. Hera's new role was not without its challenges. She faced the daunting task of reconciling the old order with the new realities her stepson's emergence had brought to light. Her heart, though hardened by years of rivalry and betrayal, softened at the sight of mortals suffering under the turmoil. She realized that her actions would determine not just the fate of Olympus, but the very balance of the world below. In the mortal realm, the sun, now a fugitive of the divine, wandered the earth. The shard of the sky, ripped from the heavens during his battle, was embedded in his chest, a constant reminder of the power he wielded and the destruction he had wrought. It pulsed with energy, a ticking bomb threatening to unleash chaos, if not controlled. The shard's presence was not just a burden, it was a key to realms unknown, a bridge between the mortal and the divine. As he wandered, the sun discovered ancient sites where the boundaries between worlds thinned, allowing him glimpses into the mysteries of the cosmos. These encounters fueled his curiosity and forged a deeper understanding of his place in the universe. It was here, in the solitude of forgotten temples and hidden groves, that he began to see his true potential, not as a destroyer, but as a guardian of balance. The sun, feeling the weight of his unintended rebellion, found solace in the quiet corners of the earth. He sought refuge in the wild landscapes, where nature whispered secrets to him, guiding his understanding of the shard's power. Despite his isolation, he felt an undeniable connection to the mortal realm, a place where he could forge his own destiny away from the shadow of his father's wrath. Hestia, caught between her divine duties and her love as a mother, sought to rebuild the fractured trust. Approaching Hera with humility, her voice was soft yet resolute. "We must mend what has been broken," she urged, her eyes a mirror of hope and remorse. For Olympus and for him. The bond between Hestia and Hera, once strained by silence and suspicion, began to heal. Their shared goal to preserve Olympus and the mortal realm united them, transcending past grievances. Hestia's gentle wisdom complemented Hera's fierce resolve, forming a powerful alliance. Together, they guided the gods toward a new understanding, hosting gatherings to encourage dialogue and cooperation that had long been absent. Hestia, ever the guardian of peace, tirelessly worked to mend the fractures between the deities. She visited the sacred hearths of Olympus, rekindling the flames of unity and hope. Her presence brought calm, a reminder of the warmth and security the gods once shared. Her quiet strength inspired others to seek reconciliation amid their own fears and ambitions. Hera, though still harboring bitterness, recognized the truth in Hestia's words. They both understood that vengeance would only lead to further ruin. Reluctantly, she extended a hand of reconciliation, an unspoken vow to restore harmony to their fractured world. In her heart, Hera realized that peace required acceptance. The sun was not just a threat, he was a testament to their complex existence, a blend of divine power and mortal fragility. She saw in him the potential for change, a chance to break free from cycles of vengeance and pride. This realization gave her a new purpose, transcending her rivalry with Zeus and embracing the possibility of a new era. The gods, witnessing Hera's transformation and Hestia's quiet strength, began re-evaluating their roles in the celestial order. The sun's existence opened their eyes to possibilities beyond their insular lives. They questioned the nature of power and leadership, recognizing the need for empathy and adaptability in a changing world. This introspection sparked a subtle shift in Olympus, as the deities embraced a more harmonious coexistence with mortals. Meanwhile, the sun became a legend among mortals, known as the ski thief, a Promethean figure who defied the gods and survived. His journey across the earth was one of solitude, marked by introspection and the burden of power. Yet, within him burned a desire not for revenge, but for understanding of his place in a world that both rejected and revered him. As tales of the ski thief spread among mortals, he became a symbol of hope for those enduring their own struggles. His defiance of the divine order resonated with the oppressed, igniting a quiet rebellion in many hearts. They whispered his name in reverence, drawing strength from the story of a god who walked among them, unbound by the chains of his heritage. As he traveled, he learned to harness the shard's energy, transforming it from a source of chaos into a tool of creation. He left behind a trail of wonders, fertile lands and thriving villages, each a testament to his growing mastery over the elements. Yet, the shadow of his origins lingered, posing an unanswered question. Would he ever find peace, or was he destined to wander forever, a god in exile? In the years that followed, the legend of the sky thief spread throughout the mortal realm, transforming into a tale of rebellion and hope. Mortals, captivated by his defiance against the gods, began to venerate him as a symbol of freedom, a Promethean figure who dared to challenge the divine order. His story was shared in whispers around campfires and sung by bards in grand halls, each retelling adding to the mythos of the one who had torn a piece of the sky. Within these stories, mortals found more than just a figure of rebellion, They saw a reflection of their own struggles against fate and authority. A testament to the resilience of the human spirit. In the boy who defied Zeus, they found hope that even the mightiest could be challenged. This newfound belief fueled revolts and inspired leaders, echoing his courage in their quests for freedom. The tales of his defiance became more than stories. They were lifelines for those seeking bravery in their darkest hours. As villages whispered his name, children grew up dreaming not of being gods, but of having the strength to change their destinies. Leaders emerged, inspired by his legend, forging alliances and challenging the status quo, igniting sparks of revolution across the lands. The mortal realm began to transform, guided by the echoes of his rebellion. As hope flourished where once there was only submission, back on Olympus, the gods found themselves divided, their unity fractured by recent events. Some viewed the sun as a threat to be eliminated, while others saw him as a catalyst for change, a force that could reshape their world for the better. Athena, ever the voice of wisdom, cautioned her fellow deities, "This changes everything. We must consider the implications of his existence and what it means for us." Amidst this divine discord, Hera watched silently from the shadows, her mind a battlefield of conflicting emotions, torn between her duty to her husband and her growing doubts about the righteousness of their rule. She wondered if perhaps this child, born of secrecy and defiance, was a herald of the changes the old ways desperately needed. In moments of solitude, Hera reflected on the choices that had led to this upheaval. She pondered the godly hubris that had blinded them to the needs of mortals, the arrogance that fueled their divine wars. Perhaps, she mused, this child was not a harbinger of chaos, but a necessary force of change, a chance to mend the broken bonds between heaven and earth, to weave a new tapestry that embraced both divinity and humanity. As debates raged in the celestial halls, Hestia remained steadfast at her hearth, tending the eternal flame symbolizing home and unity. Despite the chaos around her, Hestia clung to hope, murmuring softly to the flickering flames, "One day he'll return, not as a thief, but as a king." Her words carried a promise, a vision of a future where her son would reclaim his place among the gods. Not through force, but through understanding and reconciliation. Hestia's faith in her son remained unwavering. She believed that the trials he faced were shaping him into something greater than any prophecy could foresee. The hearth she tended was more than just a flame. It was a beacon, a guiding light she hoped would one day lead him back home, to a place where he was not just accepted but celebrated. Meanwhile, her son continued his journey across the earth, ever aware of the shard embedded in his chest. It was both a gift and a curse, a source of tremendous power and a reminder of his past. He sought out places untouched by time, where he could reflect and hone his abilities, guided by the lessons he had learned from the mortals he encountered. As he traveled, he encountered landscapes as diverse as the people he met. From arid deserts to lush forests, each location offered lessons in survival and strength. He learned to harness the elements around him, drawing power from the earth and sky, mastering both his divine and mortal heritage. His travels became a tapestry of experiences, each thread contributing to the man he was becoming. With each step, he grew wiser, understanding that true strength lay not in domination, but in harmony with the world. The mortals he aided in their struggles taught him compassion and humility, virtues often overlooked by the gods. In their simple lives, he found a sense of belonging that eluded him on Olympus, a connection that transcended the divine. The son's journey was also one of introspection, as he grappled with the duality of his existence. The power coursing through his veins was a constant reminder of his heritage, yet his heart resonated with the struggles of those who had become his kin. He began to understand that his true strength lay not in his ability to wield lightning or fire, but in his capacity to inspire and unite. This revelation became his guiding star, illuminating the path toward a destiny he was determined to shape with his own hands. He found companionship in unexpected places, forming bonds with those who shared his vision of a world where gods and mortals coexisted in harmony. These alliances were forged in battles fought side by side, their victories and losses teaching him the true meaning of loyalty. Through these relationships, he discovered the importance of trust and the strength that came from unity. Yet, the day would come when he would have to face his destiny, to confront the legacy of his birth and the expectations of the gods. As whispers of his deeds reached the heavens, Zeus's anger simmered, a storm waiting to be unleashed. Yet within the sun burned a new resolve, a desire to bridge the worlds of gods and men, proving that even a forbidden child could bring about peace. In the heavens, Zeus sensed the shifting tides of power, the undercurrents of change threatening the very foundation of his reign. The whispers of his son's actions were like thunder in his ears, a constant reminder of the challenge that awaited him. Despite his brewing anger, a part of him wondered if reconciliation with this formidable child of destiny was possible. The echoes of rebellion lingered, signaling that change was inevitable. The son, once a nameless boy hidden away in a mortal village, now stood as a beacon of possibility. His journey was far from over, and the path ahead was fraught with challenges. Yet, with every step, he moved closer to the day when he would return to Olympus, not as an outcast, but as a rightful heir.